KJ blew it. Yeah, that's happening right here, right now. I've got JB, Mr. John Bailey of EOTECH, to talk all about how this guy failed.
Hey, I'm KJ, dedicated lifelong hunter here. If you got an interest in all things hunting, you're in the right spot. Whether chasing quail across the plains of Oklahoma or in pursuit of elk in the backcountry of British Columbia, you'll always find me on the hunt.
All right, this episode is brought to you by Range Ready Studios. All right, welcome in all you Gun Talk hunters. I'm your host, KJ, and we are out at the Jumping Horse Ranch in beautiful Ennis, Montana. We're about midway through the trip, a little bit more than that. I've got JB here, John Bailey from EOTECH. All right, man. Just how'd you set this whole thing up?
So we've been coming here for, I think this is my 13th year doing the hunt, 12th year here at Jumping Horse. We know John Way, he owns the tackle shop in Ennis. He kind of set the lodge up because I didn't have any contacts here. And it's just spectacular. The food, the accommodations, it's on a little shy, I think, of 10,000 acres.
Yeah, it's massive.
They own 3/4 of the mountainside, you know, so it's just the perfect setup to get, you know, you basically have a herd that stays here mainly because of the soil of what I heard.
Okay.
But they stay low, they work their way up the mountain, they come back down. So you're doing all kinds of stuff. You're doing spot and stalk.
Right.
You're doing, you're climbing, you're doing all that stuff. So it's just a spectacular hunt.
Well, and you look at it, and they've got mule deer, they've got whitetail, they've got pronghorn, they've got elk. I mean, I hear locally around here there's moose. I mean, so they've got, it's a game-rich environment, and we've had a lot of success. I mean, Hillary Dyer is here, Dave Hertow is here, or Herto. I guess it's Herto. But he's here. They've had success. They've killed an elk, 2 elk, mule deer, and then that's it, right?
Yep.
Well, and then we got Will.
Yep. Will, one of my social media guys, shot his first elk and his second whitetail, but first whitetail outside of his state.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it was a good whitetail. Good. And we're not talking about like 360 bulls or 420 bulls, like something like that. These are bulls that gather up with a herd of cows and they come down for the winter, and they're just getting bigger. Like they're just growing bigger. And that's what we're really targeting on, because I look at it as a meat hunt. Well, I did. My meat's still running around. Like, it's still running around.
Yours is
like,
TBD.
Yeah. So, and that's a whole interesting story. It's disheartening anytime you lose an animal or you make a questionable shot. But we were sitting there. We had a range call at like 362, and that's really what we thought. I was like, okay, 362, that seems about right.
Right.
And then this morning when we went back to look, because we let the bull lay overnight, because we couldn't initially find it, it went over, and we walk up and he's not there. And so we're like, you know what, best to back out. We went up there, and I ranged it at 417, which is a big difference.
Yeah, that's 60 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big difference when you're talking about bullet drop. And we had wind gust yesterday of 30 miles an hour.
That was a big contributor yesterday. That could easily been a big contributor. Who knows what it was doing up there. But yeah, it was moving. I mean, that wind was going 30, 40 miles an hour at times.
And so you start looking at stuff like that. It's just, man, it's disheartening. And we walked our butts off this morning, and we're probably going to do some more. The herd's actually right above us, like nearly like right behind us. And we're going to go get you a cow.
Yep.
And then see if one of those guys in there is limping around. But I felt like the shot was good, man. One thing I will say, we're out here and we're shooting the new Voodoo X.
Yep.
And this is like kind of more of a hunting driven focus from EOTECH.
Right.
And I will tell you this much. I was thankful that you guys put a lit reticle in that optic, because as the sun was fading, because the whole herd like really kind of stayed out there. And if you're looking for a reason to buy like a lit reticle, this was it. It's like, and you have like 10 different settings.
Right.
And so I was on setting 4. So it was getting pretty dark, because, you know, as the dark decreases, your light is minimal. You don't want a lot of light in there. But man, it really works. It really works nice.
Really, it's really rare that you need illumination, but there are those times, you know, and it's usually that like that last legal light where you really need to make things out. And the beauty of that too is we put in off positions at between every brightness.
Right.
So once you know what that setting you want for low light, you could just dial it to off, and so you're not clicking through 10 settings to get to it.
Is there any like a shake awake with that or anything like that?
There's not.
I was wondering about that, because that's one thing that I didn't realize was last night when I was coming back in. I picked it up this morning, and I told myself, you need to go change that, like turn it off, and of course I didn't.
Yeah, it's a CR2032 battery, so it's a common one, and it's an LED, so you get tons of runtime. If you left it on at 10, it'd still get you through camp and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, like I mean, it was still on this morning, and I turned it off like I should have done initially. But man, the glass is super clear in it. I had no issues with it. It is an MOA. You guys are doing those as an MOA,
right?
And it's 2.5 to 12.
2 to 12.
2 to 12.
40 millimeter objective.
And then are you guys offering a 1 to 6 in that?
Yeah, we're doing a 1 to 6 to 24. Also second focal. Really, again, geared a little bit more towards your maybe not hunter and that with that scope, but your 3-gunner, your recreational. I mean, LPVOs are just a huge thing now. So we have our standard Voodoo line, and we have 3 LPVOs in that line, and then I think this is just going to be it's a little bit better price for kind of a your average shooter, and gives you all the performance, and it's just a great setup.
Man, I'm telling you, the glass is clear, it's rugged, but it's still lightweight because we're shooting him on the Seekins Havoc elements. Lightweight rifles. I've got a Banished Backcountry suppressor on mine. I've got a Harris bipod on it, and it's still a lightweight setup. But I will tell you one thing: do not run a Blue Force gear, one of the Vickers slings, on a gun, because in the field, because man, it's just there's a lot of cloth there, and I haven't got it figured out quite right on how to keep it short. But
that's the beauty of, like I say, we've been doing this for 12 years, and every year you learn a little bit more of what gear you need and what gear didn't work out. This is only my second year of having a bino harness.
Oh, really?
I used to just So
how could you not use one of those?
I know.
And you're using it, but the one you've got is a marsupial gear, and you've got a pistol pouch on it. You've got a bino rangefinder pouch, and it's set up really nice.
Yeah, the connection on the back is just it. I went from not having one to now I have 3, and I kind of I learned each time I bought one that they have different features. This marsupial one's really good.
Yeah, they do a really good job. I'm doing a T&K, which I found a few years ago, and it's funny because every time I go to a camp or something, usually a guide's kind of like going, who makes that one? Because it's USA, made in America, and all that good stuff. But it's slim line, and it doesn't have a lot of features you don't need.
Right.
And usually I end up just giving my guide the one I carry with me. But no, it's been pretty good. I still go back. Like, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Like, letting that
no one does in that position.
Like, I woke up at 2:30, man, and all I could think about was like go back to Chris Sereno, and he's like, what did you see? What did you feel? The sight picture looked great. I held for 350 is what I held for, and I wasn't shaking. And so how I set it up is, since I have a long extended bipod, so I've got that set up, and that's on the front of the gun, and then in the back I had a hog saddle anchoring down the rear of my gun.
Yeah.
I was almost like shooting from a bench.
Yeah, that's a good position.
It is. You just think about it, and it's like, man, what else could I have done? And after the shot, because we're on a hunt that you really like. I really wanted to make it happen because Dave, he sat there and he shot one right after me, and he anchored his, and I'm like, man, like he held like perfect.
And I wasn't there, so there's so many variables. The wind was one of them, but there's pressure that Dave shot. You guys found a second bull. there's pressure that maybe this thing's going to take off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you never know.
And
you're in the
okay,
moment.
we are going to talk about our guides right after this break because you're going to want to hear about our guides, Mr. John Way and Ray.
All right, Range Ready Studios. If you're looking to become a better shooter, and you're going to find out more like through the coming weeks that, you know what, if you prepare all year long, no matter how hard you prepare, some things happen. You better be prepared, and that starts by preparing your trigger finger, and you can do that all at Range Ready Studios. We offer a wide range of classes and to train you up for your next hunting season, your next self-defense encounter. Oh, hope it doesn't come to that, but if you are, you better be prepared, and you owe it to yourself and your family to get that way. So come take a class at Range Ready Studios. The new class schedule should be up. So the 2024 schedule is starting to fill up. Claim your spot at rangereadystudios.com.
All right, we're back, and we're sitting with JB of EOTECH, and a longtime friend in the industry, and we meet characters all over the place. But by far, two of the funniest guides I've ever had. And Ray's a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
John is just a character.
Sure.
And, oh my gosh, I need to get him on.
Yeah.
And
Should.
It would make him like kind of super awkward.
Well, you can get him back for how he treated you out in the field.
No, he treated me great. And he works his tail off, and he owns the tackle shop. It's called The Tackle Shop in Ennis, Montana. And you can go on, they have a website.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of cool stuff with a lot of their gear, a lot of their hats.
Yeah, most of it's guiding though. They run thousands of trips down the Madison River every year. So, yep, they do a lot of that.
And he's also a part of the Guide Association. He's the chairman of the Guide Association here in Montana. So we're working on getting JB as a full-time guide here, or a part-time guide, I guess.
Yep.
He won't let any rules slide, which is a little bit disconcerting. Like he doesn't let anything
he'd help
slide.
me cheat and pass a little faster. He knows all the answers to the test.
Right.
So.
He wrote the test, and so it'd be nice for him to just slide you the whatever 100 questions it is, and say,
or just certify me, and I don't have to go through all that stuff. I mean, come on.
I mean, you would think he would do that, but he won't. He's too straight-laced for that.
He's too straight.
But I will tell you this. So the day before, we were on a bull, and Dave was on the gun, and Dave didn't shoot when John thought he should have. And oh my gosh, I was like, well, I'm glad that's not me. And so when my bull was coming out last night, they were all jumping the fence. They were, moving over to another pasture, and they jumped. And man, when that bull hit the opening, I shot as quick as I could because I knew, I was like, I'm not getting on John's bad side. And then I ended up wounding it. And at the side of the shot, like I didn't see any blood, and John and I kind of moved over, and the bull had bedded down, and we ended up finding like 3 pools of blood, and then that was it. And so we know the blood wasn't, it wasn't what you normally find in the gut.
Right. Yeah.
But what do you think happened to my bull?
We walked up and down trying to find it, and to me, and I'm a novice at this compared to those guys.
I mean, you're a guide now.
Yeah.
Like, let's just.
But every experience I had with, or even when I was with people, is when you shoot, they work their way down. They don't go up. So I believe that it kind of circled back. John was a little higher, looking for blood and all that, and he saw the tracks of the herd.
Right.
Probably 175 head come down. So he saw that, and we really believe that the herd kind of caught up with him, and he may be down here, and you never know. So
that would be, it would be ideal, but there's not, it's hard because you got a lot of eyeballs out here. Now they're in the open.
Right.
Like they were, we had stuff to maneuver behind and everything else, but now you're looking at it and they're out in the open. We got to get you on. So I thank goodness you're shooting suppressed.
That I think is going to really help us because we've done it before off the herd, and they get on their feet.
Yeah.
They have no idea where they came from. They get a little skittish, but they don't take off from a normal gunshot. So I think if I can do that, they'll get on their feet. We might be able to see
Yeah.
if there's a gimpy or a.
Maybe he's wounded. He's wounded. My guess is that he's either laying up there dead somewhere, and we're gonna have to wait until the crows or the magpies find him.
Yep.
Which I hate to do, because then you're looking at grizzly problems. You're looking at coyotes and potentially wolves. But then my only other guess would be that he is with this big herd.
Yeah. I mean, when we were walking, there are times that sage gets high enough that if it's laying down, you might not see it or the horn sticking up. And you just can't cover everything. So there's a chance that we didn't catch it when we were tracking. But
man, we had how many people we had out there? Five people out there walking up and down trying to find this thing. It's just, man, you just scratch your head and I feel bad. I've got like pain in my stomach because like you hate to do that.
I've been there. Yep.
But we all know it does happen, and there's not much else we could do.
Nope.
I mean, and so we'll do our best to find him and see what's happening. But my question to you is, now I view my elk hunt as complete, as that whatever happens forward of an elk hunt that's it. So now I get to move on to either a mule deer or whitetail.
Right.
I have a question. We usually have like yard deer working around in here. Is it okay to shoot a yard deer?
I don't see why not.
As long as it's not in the yard, right?
Yeah, they are. There's some that are really kind of, I don't want to say tame, but they're comfortable here.
Yeah.
So you certainly wouldn't shoot it here, but you know
Shoot.
what?
Get out of here.
There are a lot of deer here, and there's a road that basically runs south that we call Deer Alley.
Yeah.
And you could have a mule deer out in the field 500 yards away, and a doe has pulled them into 25 yards before you can even set up.
No kidding.
So, I mean, people might not think great of this, but we've shot them, basically got out of the truck, went 10 feet,
Right.
set up and shot them
Really?
from there. And I don't have
Well, it's
any
just
problem with that.
It's how it's done. Like that's how you do it. Like when we go antelope hunting or something like that, a lot of times that's how it happens.
Yeah,
That's
you're
how it
getting out
happens.
and setting up. Yep.
Yeah, you get out, you set up, and you get it done. And especially when you're hunting a ranch like the Jumping Horse, like they have that ability because they have so much property and they have so
Yeah.
much game here.
I think a lot of it too is law of averages. You and I have been on a lot of hunts, and you've worked your tail
Yeah.
off for some. So
Oh,
every
yeah.
once in a while,
Yeah.
there's an easy one that kind of offsets the really
Well,
difficult.
you
ones.
look at what happened to Hillary. Hillary's out there, and this is her first elk. 10 minutes into legal
Yeah.
shooting light, and she's got a beautiful bull on the ground.
She walked like 100 yards and set up, and
Yeah.
you couldn't ask for anything better.
No. And then I'm hunting, 30, 40 mile an hour winds and taking shots that, now that I look back on it, would I take that shot again? Yeah.
Yeah, you would have.
I would.
Yeah.
I would. But then again, I don't know, man. Like I wish it was a little bit easier on me. But then she goes and she has a heck of a mule deer hunt, and she had to work her tail off on it.
Yep.
She's been the better part of 3 days hunting one mule deer, and then another one shows up magically, and she got it done.
Yep. Yeah, the worst part about this, if you don't find it, is knowing that it might be out there and you weren't able to take care of it properly.
Yes.
But the second part is it'll be on your mind for the rest of your life. It always is.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone, I've done it myself too, and I could tell you the exact story and what happened with the ones that it just never leaves your mind. So it's sad. But it's part of the experience.
Yeah, it is. But I will tell you this, like the thing, like you hear when you're hunting with a suppressor, you're able to really hear the impact.
Smack. Yeah.
And it just smacks, and it did that. And that's why I'm so confused on that shot, is because it went thud, and the bull fell over, went down, and then I moved on to help Dave, like with his shot and make sure he gets lined up and everything. And then all of a sudden, like that's the last I saw the bull.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but being up there this morning with you, kind of trying to track, even if you stayed on yours, I mean, you could have had a follow-up shot had he stood up or something like that.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, he's not going to stay open for very long.
No,
so
absolutely
if he
not.
stood up and took, I mean, it takes 5 steps to get out of your sight picture. So
You're right.
yeah,
And it was so thick up there. It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's nuts. But no, I think 7 PRC, I would absolutely recommend that.
Yeah.
I mean, as a big game gun, I think that's absolutely key. But using something that you got confidence in, and I've got a lot of time behind the gun. And what's best about it is typically on hunts like this, you'll send the guns to the media or anything, like the guys who are going on the hunt. Not a whole lot, like you don't have a whole lot of time with the gun.
No.
But in this case, I've had this gun since August.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was early August.
I mean, it was early August. And so I've had a lot of time behind this gun. And I'm telling you, it shoots lights out. And I've had a lot of time behind the glass. And so why second focal plane for hunting?
Well, I think, hunting is different in all areas. From out here is different than, out east. But second focal plane typically works best for hunting. First focal plane, it's really for unknown distances.
Right.
You could use that reticle because the reticle grows at the same rate your magnification does. So you can do range estimation using that reticle. I don't think many people need to do that with a hunting scope. They'll have range finders and things like that. So second focal plane gives you that really crisp reticle throughout the whole magnification range. So you could get a more accurate alignment on it. It just seems like most people are going that route for
a hunting optic.
For hunting. And then it's also carries into 3-gun. Most people are using second focal and 3-gun stuff too. So and recreational. So it made more sense. We have our full Voodoo line. There's a lot of first focal plane optics in that really suit that more tactical type shooting. And it's not to say we won't be in it with this Voodoo X, because the other part is that that better sweet spot price point. I think if we were sitting here in 3 years, we'd be talking about a full line of Voodoo X scopes, from first focal to second focal to high-end magnification to LPVO.
And a lot of different reticles.
Yeah. Yep.
But I've loved the time behind this optic, and I do think it hits a sweet spot because it's coming in right around $899.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
$849 I think is the 2 to 12, and $799 is the
which is, it seems like, I mean, for what you're getting, it makes sense to like get it because it's going to be durable, clear, and rugged as all get out.
Yeah, that's it. It's 30 millimeter tube. There's still a lot of hunting scopes that are still 1 inch, so you don't get that light that comes in. And
I did notice that last night. I was when we were actually, all the shooting had stopped. We go up and we're looking. I didn't pull out my binoculars to look. I would kind of glass with that optic because it would gather in so much light.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how the glass turned out.
Yeah, it's good. Well, all right, man. That's all I got. Hopefully, maybe we'll do another one when you get yours and you can tell that story.
Okay.
So,
all right. Could be a really good story.
It'll be a really good story because hopefully my bull is with that herd and we'll get it taken care of. And I'll be able to share some good news with you guys. But anyway, Gun Talk Hunters, you know the drill. Always keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.
To see all of Gun Talk's content, go to guntalk.com, guntalktv.com, or sign up for the Gun Talk newsletter.